Time for another edition of Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Bradley Meyer of the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Good morning, Dr. Meyer.
Good morning, Dave.
Well, we're going to talk about things medically again today. And one of the things that actually we've talked about it a lot concerns the gut and concerns being malnourished.
Yes. What I've come to understand over the course of the last few years is when we all talk about the aging or kind of things misfiring as we get older, that could this be that we are not nourishing our body appropriately, and that essentially, if you think of an engine and all the different fuels, there's the coolant, there's the oil, got to have gas. Any parts of those are low, that engine starts to misfire. And so the one of the challenges that we have today is that digestive tract, there's a lot of red flags that happen, and this, I wanted to touch on this today because we had somebody say, "Hey, can you talk about an antimicrobial cleanse for the gut? What does that mean?" So, but essentially, these red flags, these are like the engine coolant sign or the change oil sign that come on in the car digitally now. That many times these are things that we should no longer just necessarily put a Band-Aid on. So I'm going to use the example of irritable bowel, and I've had some folks that have been into the clinic recently, and this is just such a common theme that they're like, every time I'm away from home, I got to make sure I'm near a bathroom. I'm on the road, and my nutrition gets off. I got to carry a roll of toilet paper with me, that kind of thing. Well, many times those folks will come in and they'll get treated with something like Imodium or something that's going to kind of be a Band-Aid, but that irritable bowel, which can be constipation predominant, it can be bloating, it can be loose stools, all those things. That's your body saying, hey, something's not right here, something's inflamed. And when that occurs and that's not addressed, what happens is that digestive tract doesn't absorb like it needs to anymore. So you get through the stomach, the small intestine, it's not absorbing. And when you're not absorbing very well, then that leads to stress on the engine or stress on our body. And on top of that, what we're eating, as we've talked about, can many times inflame us, and many times it's not nutrient rich as like it used to be 40 to 50 years ago, and beyond that. So when we're trying to nourish our body appropriately, and we're trying to do that through diet alone, it can still be an uphill battle because that food source is not as nutrient dense as it used to be. So I was listening to some gentleman recently, and he was talking about every time somebody talks about a supplement, I think it's about a supplement for weight building, like in the gym. But a supplement, it's supposed to be in most cases very much a bridge. It's meant to help nourish the body with vitamins, nutrients, nutraceuticals, things where that body is deficient, either due to poor food source or poor absorption, and then over time, things start to break down. And this can affect all organ systems. It can affect how well your brain functions. It can affect if you've got heart palpitations, if you've got trouble breathing, asthma-like symptoms. Many times, as we always talk, Dave, things circle back to the gut. And so when folks are coming into the clinic, we're doing a blood work evaluation. Many times that's where we start our journey, and then we kind of build up from there. And so we've got a personalized plan for everybody based on where they're at, what their toxins and traumas have been. But in general, that's what we're trying to achieve. And then on top of it, you throw in the different modalities and the resources we have in the clinic that are going to help put out those wildfires. Because if you got a lot of wildfires, things that are inflaming the body, we want to identify what they are. We want to remove them. And then we want to get to the point where, all right, how do we calm that fire down? How do we nourish that body, get it the minerals and vitamins it needs? And then it's as we've talked in the past, it's even the appropriate supplement or nutrient source, because many times folks, if they're inflamed, if you're inflamed, if you've got gastrointestinal symptoms of any sort, you could be taking all these vitamins and supplements, and you might not be absorbing them anyway. And so, I'm on all these supplements, I'm not feeling better. In many cases, it's because maybe that nutrient or that supplement is not absorbing well based on that it's a poor quality, or because your digestive tract is inflamed. So that's where we start, and many times it's a 6 to 12-month process of identifying what's causing the inflammation and what do we do to help build the body back up and get it to the point where the reserves are built back up and it gets back into that healing state.
Well, and I'm guessing as we age, probably some of the things we didn't do so well in our diet, for example, like you mentioned with the oil light going on, we've probably exhausted our oil life, so to speak.
Precisely. And so what we have to do then, especially let's use stomach acid as an example. So a lot of times folks will have heartburn, reflux symptoms. If your stomach acid is low, and we use something like a proton pump inhibitor, omeprazole is a common name for it, pharmaceutical that helps with that heartburn, you're lowering stomach acid. Well, stomach acid can be very protectant as well, so you end up getting critters. So it might be parasites, it might be gram-negative bacteria, candida, mold, things like that start to take root inhabitant in your digestive tract, because the stomach acid's not good enough or strong enough to get rid of those bugs. So they take root in your digestive tract and create further imbalance. And so then that's when we talk about, okay, we need to consider an antimicrobial cleanse. We gotta clear out the weeds in that garden. So there's a definite structure to how we go about this of working backwards from, the years of missing some of these signs and symptoms and signals, and it takes some time, but it's really, really fun to see folks that have just dealt with the digestive symptoms, dealt with the bloating, dealt with the really bad fatigue in the afternoon after a lunch. All these things, when we start getting that body back into balance and change a few things, a few tweaks, the body has that tremendous capacity to heal, and then it becomes a situation where you can go longer and longer between needing oil changes. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember, we're still kind of having this heavy toxin load in the environment. So there's a lot of things that put stress on the body. So if you do a cleanse, it doesn't mean you do it one in a lifetime. It's like periodically. These are things like a liver cleanse, for an example, that we need to be thinking of doing periodically, because what is it that, again, we're eating? Is it rancid oils, seed oils? A lot of the vegetable canola oils are highly inflammatory in the body, so then that's putting stress on the liver. If we don't change the nutrition or diet, then we need to be doing these periodic liver cleanses as well. So it all works together, and it's a different approach than most folks, myself included, how I was trained traditionally to kind of deconstruct and look at the body as a whole. But it is highly effective, and that's why so many people right now, over the course of the last 3 years, that have been spinning their wheels with the health and not feeling well, not feeling their best. They're looking, hey, instead of adding additional pharmaceuticals and prescriptions, can I look to see what I can do differently to get off of some of these and get into a state where I have the better quality of life?
Well, and we've got to go, but I think everybody, well, not everybody, but I think a lot of people have lived that Band-Aid approach, and I think people are looking for more.
Absolutely. And, every week that I'm blessed to be a part of this mission here, great team. It's always another success story, another hope story, and that's what I like to think of ourselves as we're dealing hope here, hope and results, because a lot of folks over the course of the last 3 years, they're like, feel like they're losing hope in themselves or the system or their health, and thinking there's nothing else to be done for it, and there is so much to be done for it. And when you come in here, you're like family, and we're going to provide that hope, and we're going to provide that roadmap that you get the chance to walk down with us, assisting and making recommendations. And it's a very fruitful process. And then on top of it, you get that better quality of life. So what better thing than that? Yeah,
no kidding. All right, Dr. Meyer, how do folks find you?
Yeah, give us a call at 712-339-6024. We are at 3305 Brookwest Avenue in Spirit Lake, just off of Highway 71. And again, we're always happy to have folks stop in if they want to take a walk through the facility and have a peek of what we're all about, lay eyes on it before even making an appointment. Or there's a discovery call that I do complimentary on Wednesdays for folks that say, hey, I've got this going on. What would a path forward look like working with us here at the clinic? We can kind of facilitate, make that a little bit more clear, because again, not everybody, this is not a common path that most of us grew up with. And so, but the more and more folks talk about it, share the good news, share their results, their success stories, and get going on the path. This is going to continue across the country and across the world to be a revolution. I think a major healthcare revolution.
Yeah, you can kind of see it developing already. All right, Dr. Meyer, thank you very much. Have a fantastic day, and we'll chat again soon.
Be well, everybody. Take care, Dave. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Bradley Meyer, the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Another edition of Wellness Wednesday, and you can find out more about the Okoboji Wellness Clinic at okobojiwellnessclinic.com.